Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
59% of undergrads say that they have an above average work ethic. I mean, what else are you going to tell an employer? You're going to tell them that you don't have a good work ethic? 51% say they have above average intelligence, I guess. I mean, again, what else are you going to tell your potential future employer? 48% said they plan to skip entry-level jobs. My advice to you on that, good luck. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Shout out to those of you who are watching on YouTube. Man, check this out. On this episode, what I want to talk about is I was scrolling my newsfeed the other day, and I came across this article on usatoday.com. And the article talked about the expectations that college graduates have as far as what they think they're going to earn in their first salaries. And so that immediately caught my attention because I have two sons who've graduated, and I have another one who is in college. And then our youngest child, our daughter, is she just completed her first year of high school. So I'm always interested to see what the young people are thinking and things of that nature. And like I said, just having children who've graduated and, entered the workforce, kind of see what they're up against as far as like their level of expectation as opposed to what actually is happening. But the article talked about their expectations, and then inside the article, embedded in the article, there was some statistics, and I'll read them to you in just a few. But there was a survey done by a website called Clever Real Estate, and college grads revealed that they expect to make $80,000 coming out of college. Don't laugh. They expect to make $80,000 coming out of college. And at the time of this recording, most kids have just had graduation. And so, you got a lot of kids hitting the workforce. There will be some who have graduated that'll go on to graduate school or some type of studies. And then there are others that will, head into the workforce. And I think what's interesting is that there's going to be jobs there, obviously. But, in this economy, jobs are hard to come by. And the way that the economy is fluctuating is not a stretch to say that it's going to be like this, at least for probably the remainder of this calendar year of 2026. That being said, after you get through the celebratory time of graduation, they play pomp and circumstance. This graduating class gets ushered in and ushered out, and they're ready to march into the workforce. And for some, finding work won't be hard at all. In fact, by the time you hear this recording, many college graduates would have already secured their first job. But there are others who it may take them a while to find their footing. And that's okay, because sometimes that happens coming out of college, particularly in this market. But to learn about their expectations as far as pay, I found to be very interesting. They surveyed over 700 undergraduates who were pursuing undergraduate degrees. And, what they found was that students, or at least the students that they interviewed or surveyed, they were wildly overestimating what they were going to earn. And in reading that, it had me intrigued because it made me think about my time and what it looked like for me coming out of South Carolina State University in 1996. Wow, it's been 30 years. So I'll share with you, some of the things that I found. One thing that I found was that college graduates expect to make $80,004 1 year after graduation, but the average starting salary is $56,153, 30% less than their expectations. So that's kind of wild when you think about it, because here it is, you graduated from college, right? You're all excited, you're happy. You're thinking, okay, I'm going to roll into this $80,000 a year job. And you earn $56,000 a year, which again is nothing to sneeze at, because when I think back some 30 years ago, my first job out of college didn't pay me $56,000. Again, now you got to factor in inflation and all of this good stuff. But this was, I graduated from South Carolina State University with a marketing degree and a minor in broadcasting. And I graduated December of 1996. I stayed in Orangeburg, which is where South Carolina State University is located. I stayed there for the better part of the next 6 months. And then July 24th, 1997, I moved to Atlanta, where I live now. And what made me move was I wanted a better opportunity, jobs. I was working a little job what's the name of the place? Name of the place called Video Warehouse. I was assistant manager there, and it was cool. I think I was making I had maybe $120 a week or something like that. It was enough to pay rent. It was enough to buy groceries. I wasn't balling out of control. But I just remember securing my first job as an assistant manager at Champ Sports in Lenox Mall. Yes, that Champ Sports in Lenox Mall. You've been there. If you've been to Lenox, you've been to that Champ Sports. In 1997, I earned a whopping $22,500. And when I tell you, I felt like I was making 1.5. And because here's the thing, I wasn't married, right? I didn't have any kids. And so, and even better, I had a roommate. My boy Jay Fresh, shout out to Fresh. Me and Fresh moved here in 97, and we got us a nice, townhouse in Marietta, which is the north suburbs of Atlanta. And we're probably about 10-minute drive from downtown. It was perfect. Cool, upstairs, downstairs, bachelor pad. It was nice. We ain't had no furniture, but it was nice. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, I didn't know. I didn't really have a lot of expectations. Looking back on it, yeah, I probably should have been making more. But, it's my first job, and I had management experience because, of my time at Video Warehouse. So I think I was at Video Warehouse maybe a year and a half or so. But outside of that, I didn't have any work experience. So, you offered me $22,500. For me, that was, again, and I'm here in Atlanta. So this is 97. Atlanta was on fire. They had just had the Olympics. It was a great place to be. So, and the cost of living was, while it was way higher than it was in Orangeburg, I had things to kind of offset it. Again, I had a roommate. I didn't have a wife, didn't have kids. I didn't have a car note. I had a car, but I didn't have a car note. And so I was able to kind of ball out of control a little bit, just a little bit, at least for that particular time. But you get my point. So I didn't have any aspirations as to how much I should have been making or whatever. Looking back on it now, I probably should have been making more. Definitely not $56,000. That wasn't going to happen. Not coming out of college. Not without any experiences as well. So that was probably one of the other issues too as well. But I didn't have any expectations, but these kids clearly do. Number two, 51% of college students think they deserve a higher than average salary because they are smarter than their peers. Let me let you in on a little secret, kids. Just because you're smarter than someone doesn't always mean that you're going to make more money than them. If you don't believe me, ask your mom and dad. Because I'm sure your mom and dad have been smarter than probably some of the people they worked alongside, or maybe even possibly worked for. Smart, it'll take you a long way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make its way to your bank account. While that may be frustrating to hear, it's the truth. And smart doesn't have a lot to do with anything. Number 3, 46% of college students say a college education is not worth going into debt, and 29% have regrets of even attending college at all. That's tough because for a lot of people, going to college did leave them in a insurmountable amount of debt, and that's unfortunate. However, I can understand why some would have regrets. Me, I have no regrets. I tell people all the time, man, South Carolina State, if you're watching on YouTube, you see the jerseys behind me, you see the helmet beside me. I could never repay South Carolina State for what it did for me. While I paid my, student loans and stuff off, and, I had football scholarship at some point, my last, 2.5 years there. No, I could donate $1 million to South Carolina State University, and it would not equate what the university did for me. But everybody's college experience isn't like that. And I'm not crazy enough to think that it is. I can only speak for mine. But I have no regrets. And I felt like even in taking out student loans for summer school, that was an investment in my education, which was an investment in me that I was in turn able to pay off. Now, there's a couple of student loans out there that they're going to get paid at some point. They might not get paid today. They won't be late. I can promise you that, but they ain't getting paid today. Number 4, 32% of college students aren't confident they will make enough money to live comfortably after graduation. This is true. And I understand that because, like I said, in the economy that we're in, it's a tight economy. We're in a recession, which people aren't going to tell you, but we are. And then there's not as many jobs, right? And then there's points in the economy where there's a lot of jobs, but there aren't a lot of careers. And the thing that I told my kids, and I will constantly tell them, find yourself a career, because a job you'll be able to bounce around from. You'll always be able to get jobs. Everybody can have a job. Not everybody can have a career. There's a difference. And you'll find yourself being more satisfied with your career as opposed to jobs. Now, the thing that I also say about that is, if you're not able to live comfortably after graduation, the key word is comfortably. I don't mean that you should be bouncing your rent checks, right? Or not paying your water bill. But comfort is different for different people. If you live in a bigger city like a LA or New York or Atlanta or Chicago or Miami, the cost of living, you need to be able to sustain that. So you need to be able to maneuver and keep your head above water. But now the waters are higher in bigger cities because of the cost of living. So now if you go live in Omaha, Nebraska, I mean, like, that $56,000 is going to go a long way. But $56,000 in Atlanta, if you get your apartment downtown, the middle of the city in Midtown, you get yourself a car note, you get, a couple of girlfriends. I mean, you might be broke. and you're paying back your student loans eventually. Yeah, you might be broke. You might be working broke, as we say. But the thing that I've told my sons, don't be afraid to go back home and stack paper, because mom and dad or auntie and grandma or grandpa, they'll let you come back home after college more often than not. Now, I know that that's a tough thing to do, because many of you have spent, at this point in time after graduating from college, you spent the better part of the last 4, maybe 5, and some of you maybe 6 years away from home. And now you've kind of been a wild cowboy at school. Come back home to mom and dad's crib, you kind of gotta abide by the rules, if there are rules. Now, there are going to be some people that are going to allow you to kind of move around as you please. You can't do that in my house. And it's not like I'll just open the door a little bit, let you peek behind the curtain. It's not like I had, like, my kids have curfew or anything like that. But the thing that I've told my sons is like, hey, I can't go to sleep unless everybody's in the house. So if you're out and it's midnight and you are at Johnny's house and you've had a couple of drinks, stay at Johnny's house. Just call me or text me, hey, Dad, I'm staying at Johnny. I'm cool at that point. What I don't want is, I don't want you drinking and driving. I don't want you, I'd pay for you to Uber. But I don't want, because so many things happen so fast. And, it's just, as a parent, you worry. So, but the thing that you want to do is come back home and make, work your job, but stay at home and make some money. And you're able to stack paper like that. And I've talked to our oldest two, Dion, who's 26 at the time of this recording, and Cameron, who's 24 at the time of this recording. 23. He'll be 24 in a couple of months. But yeah, I've told them that, and Cameron is back home. He's working. Dion is off on his own, working in his field and making good money. But I told him, I was like, you guys feel free to come back home if you want to after graduation. Dion was like, nah, Dad. And Cameron was like, nah, I'm not coming back. But he came back. But unlike them, their dad, I couldn't go. I was what you call a can't go back all-star. And the can't go back all-star is just that. Like, I couldn't go back. It's not that I'm from a bad place in Florence, South Carolina. That's my hometown. But I knew, I'll be honest, and I say this all the time, I knew the day that I left for college, I wasn't coming back to Florence to live. I just wasn't. I had outgrown it, and I didn't want to be there. And it's home, and I love it. And I love going home, and my parents are still there, family's still there, but I wasn't going back. Can't go back all-star. So I was either going to stay in Orangeburg, move somewhere else in South Carolina, but I had 2 destinations, Atlanta and New York City, and I was going to be in either one. And I told myself that in high school. I wrote that in my book, my senior book in high school. They said, where do you plan to be after graduation from college? I said, number 1, Atlanta, number 2, New York City, because those are the only 2 cities that I ever wanted to live in. DC probably was a close third. But no, I never felt comfortable like in any other city to live. And once I lived here, I didn't want to, really live anywhere else. I could live somewhere else, but, that's beside the point. I've been here almost 30 years now. I'm not, unless something drastic happens, I'm probably not moving again. I'm probably going to stay. I'm probably going to be here in Atlanta, at least until I retire. But yeah, if you're a can't go back all-star, then by all means go wherever you need to go. But if you're not a can't go back all-star, then, by all means go. Don't be afraid to go back to mom and dad's house. Number 5, 29% of undergrads say college didn't prepare them for the workforce. For me, I can't say that was true. It definitely prepared me. One of the things that I learned at South Carolina State University that I think I have over a lot of people that graduated and went to different schools was that I learned how to hustle. And I don't think that anybody who went to Princeton or Yale or Duke or Michigan or UCLA I don't think they hustled or were taught to hustle as I was. And so I think I have a leg up on the competition in that aspect. And so those are just some of the things that you learn. Now, again, that was just my education. I can't speak for everyone else. Number 6, if they could do it again, 43% of undergrads would prioritize buying a home over attending college. That sounds cool, but I wouldn't do that, because I think what you want to do is stack your paper and then build your house wherever you're going to be, because the likelihood of you moving a couple of times your first couple of years out of college is very possible. There's not a given that if you like, and I'll just use my kids for example. There's not a guarantee that you're going to live in Atlanta and work in Atlanta your entire career. This is where home is, but it may not be home for you. There may be a job that's maybe in Nashville, Tennessee, or there may be a job that's in Detroit, Michigan. There may be a job that's in Des Moines, Iowa. I mean, what you going to do? You going to stay here? Oh, I don't want to leave the A. Psh, better go get that paper. As long as there are planes and trains and buses, you can always come back to the A. But nah, as much as I am an advocate for home ownership, I've built my career around home ownership. Nah, I wouldn't advise that at all. And lastly, they had a report card where they give them like a grade system. There was a strong percentage of students who said the salary that they deserved was $84,316. I don't know how you come up with that number, but deserving $84,000 after college, you can ask for anything. Deserve is the operative word. You don't deserve anything. You eat what you kill. And the sooner that you get out of college, you realize that. I mean, like, your parents probably have done enough to get you to this point. Nobody owes you anything. They're going to continue to, most parents are going to continue to provide as long as they see you trying to get on your feet. But once you're on your feet, man, I mean, at some point you got to leave the nest. You got to do it on your own. 59% of undergrads say that they have an above average work ethic. Well, I mean, what else are you going to tell an employer? You're going to tell them that you don't have a good work ethic? 51% say they have above average intelligence. I guess. I mean, again, what else are you going to tell your potential future employer? And then 48% said they plan to skip entry-level jobs. My advice to you on that, good luck. Because, listen, if you don't think that you're going to have an entry-level job, depending on your field, you're probably crazy. More often than not, unless you have internship, you're probably going to have that type of job. Now, it also said 48% say that they don't want to start with an entry-level job. My response, good luck. The reason being is that unless you had an internship or a couple of internships, you're probably going to have an entry-level job. And I don't think that there are a lot of entry-level jobs that are going to pay you $56,000 a year. There's some. In fact, there are probably quite a few. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I'll be honest. But then here's the thing that the survey also said what they've realized. 44% say that they should have put more money into savings. I'm always a big advocate for saving money. That's one of the things I try to teach my kids, like, hey, don't spend it all. Put some away for a rainy day, because guess what? There are going to be some days where it's, a slight chance of showers. And there's going to be some days it's going to be a hurricane. You don't know when those days are coming. You better have something some paper stacked up. 39% said they would have applied for more scholarships. I think that's very key. Kids get into college and they stop applying for scholarships. That should be something that you're constantly doing, because it's free money. You can't beat free. 34% say they wish they would have worked more while in college. I didn't work in college. By the time I got the job at Video Warehouse, I take that back. Was I in college? Yeah, I was still in school, but I was in like my last semester at Video Warehouse. But for the most part, I didn't work while I was in college. I didn't, I just didn't because of football. 31% say they wish they would have learned more about personal finance. Now that's on you. You can't just constantly spend your money when mom and dad are cash apping you or auntie sending you money or, Zelling you money or what have you. You have to learn how to budget and stick to a budget because eventually in life, when you get the job, you're going to have some type of budget. You can't just ball out of control every weekend. I learned that the hard way. And 31% say they would cut back on non-essential spending. Wouldn't we all? Man, listen, if I could go back to being 23, 24 years old, I would definitely be into stacking my money and not necessarily spending every dime. And I didn't spend every dime. I'm pretty good with money. But, I think there were pockets in my life in that particular time when I first got here to Atlanta. Again, me and Jay Fresh, we didn't know anybody. We were new to the city. And so we did a lot of moving around. We did a lot of exploring, and I was cool with that, but I also spent money. And I don't think I wasted any money, though. But I think the thing that I would tell any young person listening or watching this episode, just think before you swipe. And in exchange for benefits that reflect their priorities, 94% of undergraduates say they would work for a lower salary. I think that's very possible. I think what's going to happen is they're going to see what the landscape is, and you'll have to make choices as to what you should or would not take. In conclusion, I think young people are finding out quickly that it's a real world. And what you want, there's nothing wrong with wanting what you want, but you may not always get what you want. And you may not be in a position where you can negotiate something. But the thing that I will say is understand that those 4 or maybe 5 years are gone. You're never going to get them back. For me, those are the best 5 years of my life. Excuse me. Best 5.5 years of my life. I wouldn't change a thing. Everything that happened was supposed to happen. But I also understand that my experience was very different from everybody else's that's listening and watching. Hell, my experience is different from the people that I went to school with. I just happened to meet this young lady and I married her. Well, I fell in love with her and married her. And her experiences in school were different. I'm older than her. But everybody's experiences are different. I think there's nothing wrong with wanting an $80,000 a year job. If it doesn't happen for you right now, understand that if you keep pushing and you keep grinding and you don't expect any handouts, you'll probably get to it a whole lot faster than the person waiting on it or thinking that they should have it because nobody owes you nothing. Never forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday. Also, don't forget about the Rap Soul podcast. We drop new episodes there every Thursday as well. The Rap Soul podcast is where we talk about music, more specifically rap, hip hop, soul, and R&B artists and music from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s when it comes to those genres. Also, be sure to check out and subscribe to the websites. What are the websites? The 12 Kyle podcast.riverside.com and the Rap Soul podcast.riverside.com. Again, that's going to do it for me. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheers.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.